Hey, a good Shabbos to everyone. This week's Parashas Netzavim, Vayeilech, and a quick summary of this week's Parasha is that Moshe tells the Israelites that he is now 120 years old and can no longer lead them. God has told him he cannot cross the Jordan River into the Promised Land. God will go before the Israelites and wipe out the nations in their path. Yeshua will lead the people across the Jordan. Moshe then encourages Yeshua to be strong and courageous as he will lead the people into the land God promised. Moshe writes down the Torah and gives it to the Levites and elders, instructing them to read aloud every 7 years at the Feast of Booths. Which is Sukkot. God tells Moshe that after his death the Israelites will turn to false gods and break God's covenant. God will then hide his face from them. God instructs Moshe to write down a poem sung as a witness against the Israelites for when they go astray. Moshe recites this poem to the Israelites. Moshe then completes writing the Torah and charges the Levites to place it beside the Ark of the Covenant as a witness against the Israelites. Moshe predicts the Israelites' future defiance and summons the elders as witnesses. Moshe recites the entire poem to the Israelites. On the very first pasuk of this week's parasha, it says, "You stand this day, all of you, before your God, Yudke Vavke, your tribal heads, your elders and your officials, every householder in Israel." The Degul Menachem Ephraim comes to tell something very beautiful on this. He says on the part of the pasuk, "Before the Lord your God, Yudke Vavke, your tribal heads." He says it can be explained based on that which is stated when the Jewish people in the days of Shmuel asked for a king. And Shmuel told them, "Know and see that your evil is great, that you ask for a king, for the Lord your God is your king." And this is what is hinted here. You stand before the Lord your God, meaning when you behave truthfully and sincerely before God, then you will merit God your heads, meaning you will not need any human king because the Lord your God will be your head and king, and this is understood. Carries on furthermore, it hints to that which is stated in the Zohar Kadosh on the verse, "The wise man's eyes are in his head," meaning he always looks upon the Shekhinah, the divine presence, which is in his head. See the Zohar Kadosh. And this is what the sages said, "Know what is above you," meaning the name Havai Yudke Vavke in its full spelling, which equals 45, its full spelling being each letter spelled out, such as Yud being Yud Vav Dalid, etc. It should be above you. The Shem Yudke Vavke should be above you. And this is, you stand before Yudke Vavke, your God. Literally, then you will merit God your heads, meaning to have the Shekhinah, the divine presence, rest upon your heads, and understand this. It's really beautiful what the Degul comes to teach us, that turning away from evil, turning away from serving idols, is by reminding ourselves that our dear Father in heaven is the King of the world. Knowing that Hashem is all infinite, we are always stood in front of our Father, our King. The secret is that we can only come to truly recognize God is above us when we behave truthfully and sincerely. When we recognize this, we will not be seeking any type of human to be king over us, but rather we know that the exaltedness of the Creator of the world is our head and our King. He also brings the Zohar, which comes to teach us that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, rests upon our heads. May we all merit to live life in a sincere and truthful manner and come to recognize that Hashem, our Father, is in front of us always, and to remember He is our head and King ahead of any mortal creature. A beautiful Shabbos to all. Shabbat Shalom Uvrach.